Right, so it's Dan on the Rock Show. This man needs no introduction, but I'm going to get him to give himself one anyway.
Rich Ward, Stuck Mojo, Fozzy, and formerly of Led Zeppelin. Happy to be here.
And just general legend, basically.
Well, some have said.
Some have said. I can't even get my leg that high, dude. That's impressive.
Come on, I'm 47. Come on, man.
No, it's the skinny jeans.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It can hurt the package. You don't want that. Yeah, you can pop a nut, and it's never a good thing.
Well, I popped one before. It was never the same after.
No, but you only need one, right? I mean, technically, you're right. Rumor has it, it's an urban legend that if you only have one, you could sing higher.
No,
you could be in a power metal band.
Well, I suppose
it's true.
We could go kick a few people in the nuts, see if it helps.
I'm against violence, but if it helps their singing voice, technically it's a trade-off that may be acceptable in today's society.
Could we call it a vocal workshop?
Or how about vocal enhancement?
Right.
It's the blue pill for singing.
Okay.
It's an enhancement.
I mean, I don't want to, cause any ruckuses, but
no.
Mr. Jericho does sing quite high.
He does.
Have you ever got a little bit violent?
No, because the repercussions would be deadly.
I was going to say.
never punch a guy who has arms bigger than your legs. It's a general rule. I mean, it is in the U.S. Constitution. Yeah, Article 15 or something like that. I can't quote it verbatim, but it goes something like that.
Well, I know because at one point when we were doing some stuff with you guys, Fozzy-wise, I know that Chris managed to stop a fight outside a tour bus once just by literally walking down into it.
Right. Well, I mean, it's the sheer size of his package alone. It just people.
Well, it came out the bus first.
yeah. I mean, it does. It stuns people in their tracks, and then it's slightly distracting, right? I mean, I'm just saying.
We should bring the intro possibly back to you, I think, maybe.
I'm good with wherever this thing goes naturally through an organic, I'll just follow it. Follow the yellow brick road.
Well, I'm going to ask you how you are, but I think everybody's realised that you're in quite a good mood.
I'm always in a good mood. Listen, sunshine, heavy metal, Bloodstock. I'm here in the UK with some of my best friends in the world. And honestly, we were actually talking about it a minute ago. We're like, there's a lot of people boo-hooing on the news about how things are terrible, but you do realize that you're holding a digital recorder and there's a camera right there. Like 50 years ago, this is unheard of, right?
Yeah.
And we have fresh water within walking distance. Your phone is a computer. Everyone, like the poorest of the poor people in the West have flat screen TVs that like 20 years ago would have cost you $10,000. We live in a good place. Yeah, ISIS is fucking shit up. That's true. There's some crazy people, but on the whole, life is pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's the thing. I think it's down to the fact that we're told so often by so many medias that things are bad.
Yeah, that's right.
You almost just naturally assume it is because you don't break it down. You don't look past the information that you're given. It seems to be a thing with metal, though, that we actually do look past it and we do try and appreciate the world around us a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, like, all my favorite metal bands talk about struggle and strife and stuff, but there's also a sense of appreciation and kind of love for all of this that we do, right?
Well, I think by putting it into the music, you're making the struggle and strife united. It's something that everybody's behind, and it makes it less.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
I mean, that's what I've always used metal for myself, is I am a less angry man now than when I first started listening to metal.
Amen.
And most people outside of it don't understand that you actually listen to it to be a lot calmer, to be a lot more chill.
And it is about perspective, right? So we can say, hey, there are terrible things, but in perspective, we have it pretty good, right?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing which me and the gentleman I do the show with, Mr. Mike, we're talking about quite recently is that whilst fantastic. It's whilst you do have obviously the terror element of all the stuff that goes down, as you say, ISIS fucking shit up, is a lot of media ignores the unity that then happens straight afterwards.
Of course they do.
And the thing that went down with metal recently, where we've had a couple of metal bands targeted, I've never seen the whole like genreless scene, so everybody from different genres pulling together to show support. Like there was no online bitching, no bad blood. It was just like, no, this is terrible. We stand behind these guys.
I think there's something to be said for bullies will bring out the best in us who want to solidify support against it, right? Yeah. I mean, bullies can get their way sometimes, but eventually those of us who are tired of being bullies will band it together and push back.
Exactly.
And honestly, that's kind of, I mean, not to bring it back to the new Stuck Mojo album.
Okay.
Like it. Yes,
bring it on.
Woo! See what I did there? The name of the album is Here Come the Infidels, which, I've kind of, Infidels is a great title for what we are as metal fans and musicians, because
ostracized.
We are ostracized, right? We're the outsiders, right? We'll never be the popular kids. We're not Rihanna. We'll never be those, Katy Perrys of the world. We're the black sheep of the music world. Good.
Yeah, I'm fine with
it. Actually makes me work harder that we, when it comes to the Grammys and it comes to these big award shows, we said we don't need you. We'll just have our own award shows, right? We'll do the Golden Gods. We'll do the Crying Awards. We'll just take control of this, and we'll have our own community. We'll have our own support. We'll support our own bands.
And look at this. I mean, this was an indoor, one-day, one-stage festival years ago, and now it's become this behemoth of a thing that sells out more than some of the other genre festivals, shall we say.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I mean, I'm not exactly a standard Bloodstock goer, you could probably tell, but I've always felt welcome, And that's the thing, is I love metal because maybe there's a little bit of bad blood online from some keyboard warriors, but a lot of the time you find when you actually get down in with other fans, it doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter necessarily what bands you like. We're all here because, as you say, we're ostracized from everybody else.
The beautiful thing is that by you saying, hey, you don't necessarily, I would have never have thought that. You look like you fit here. Like, I have long hair, you have cool short hair, he's got a freaking killer beard.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so it's like, I think that's the great thing about the umbrella of metal, is that it's a big tent, right? And all are welcome. And I think that's the beautiful thing, is that unlike hip-hop or certain styles of like power pop punk stuff, it's cliquish and it has a look. Like, whereas metal doesn't necessarily have a defined genre. You can have someone that looks like Zakk Wylde, or you can have someone that looks like Pepper Keenan, or you can have someone that looks like Rob Flynn. Like, all are welcome.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, and you can have me, the mayor of metal himself, Rich Ward. I'm not saying I invented it, I'm just saying I made it better. Boom!
Fantastic.
That was. It felt good to say it. I feel a little guilty because it's not necessarily true, but it was freaking awesome, right?
Well, that's going to be the tagline now of the whole interview.
That's right. Yeah. I didn't invent metal, but I did make it better. Boom! It's a little slow. I'm 47 years old. I jump around like I'm 14 on stage, and then when it's done,
it's true.
It's a little slower. You know what I mean? Like, I need one of those little walkers. Now I'm going to be moosing up. Hold on. Let me moose it. All right, I'm ready to go. Come on. Bring it on. All right.
Kick the camera over. I mean, why not?
No, I would never do that. I would never do that. Somebody worked really hard to buy that camera, so I would never disrespect technology.
Well, what vague plans do you have when you leave Bloodstock? What are you doing next?
It's going to be an amazing 24 hours because we have to kind of head back to the hotel room tonight somewhat early because we have to be at the airport at 3 a.m. And and then we're flying to the Czech Republic, and we're playing an awesome metal festival tomorrow called Brutal Assault.
Nice.
And so we know how to party is what I'm trying to say. and then when we're done with that, we'll be a little early evening for us tomorrow night too, because we got an early flight to fly back to Atlanta because we're working on the new Fozzy record. So no days off, must party.
Any idea when the new Fozzy stuff is?
Spring.
Hopefully?
Spring.
Okay,
March, April. We don't have a release date yet, but that's kind of left up to the record company. We say we play riff, we sing note. They say we give you money to make album, and then they tell us when it's going to come out. Because they're smarter than us, right? The people at Century Media, they don't write songs, but they know how to market an album and when to put it out. I have no idea. I just mess the whole thing up. It's a partnership, right?
Yep.
It's like I could never interview you. I mean, I would try. So how long have you been in the journalism business?
About 5 years now.
Okay. And how did this thing start? Was it like an interest in music, or do you have an interest in journalism?
A bit of both, and I knew the gentleman that has the name on the show as well, and he got me into it. To begin with, I never even did interviews. I was just the cameraman, and then he's like, no, you got to go talk to people. It's too much fun.
He thought you were too handsome to be behind the camera.
Well, I like to think that he doesn't.
Right. You didn't invent handsome, but you made it better. You see what I did?
That was possibly the best interview. I don't think our camera's ever been attacked so much. It's fantastic.
It's more of a joy. It's like a hug, but from the feet. Yeah. Mental. If you had a fisheye lens, that would have been awesome. It would have been creepy, weird hands. Yeah.
See, the thing that we really want to know about Fozzy is Chris going to come climb the main stage again next year?
Of course. Of course, his climbing skills have improved. He actually bought some trussing and put some lights in his backyard. Because for him, it's about being the best, right?
Yeah,
in the world at it.
Completely.
So he didn't just want to be the best frontman or the best singer. He also wanted to be the best truss climber. So building scaffolding in the backyard, it was complex, but, you know, man of his means, he can afford it.
Are we going to see a progression of what on the last album you guys had, of a little bit of an anthem sound? Because Lights Go Out was one of the sort of key ones for me.
Thanks. I think so. I mean, you know, Fozzy has been a band for 17 years, but we started off as a covers band and for fun. It was the guys in Stuck Mojo with Chris Jericho, and we played Priest and Maiden and Accept and Scorpions, and it was a serious band, but it was also kind of as a laugh, right? We had a good time. We had fake names, we wore costumes, and then one day we just said, hey, maybe we should like do some original material and make it, because the first two albums were covers albums.
Yeah.
And because Chris was a full-time professional wrestler and we were full-time in other bands, we didn't have that kind of period of time where you're in a van, you know, for 300 shows a year and doing it punk rock. So so our kind of evolution as a band was a little slower because we weren't a full-time group.
No.
And we didn't have that kind of bonding time and that kind of coming together musically, rehearsing in a dirty, dingy space like most bands do, you know? And that's where you kind of learn each other. So it took a while for Fozzy to really develop that chemistry and become the band that we are.
And find its sound almost as well.
Yeah, exactly right. And so I think you will find that this album will be kind of that perfect marriage between Do You Want to Start a War and maybe even a little bit of, you know, I mean, when you start thinking about the first album where I felt like we started really defining who we were was Chasing the Grail.
Yeah.
And I, you know, and then Sin and Bones was like even more refinement of that, and then and we just got better and better. And I think again, it wasn't because we got better as players or singers; it was because we started learning each other.
The chemistry got better.
Exactly right. It's for the same reason why when you get on the pitch and you have 11 amazing players, but you can't win games. It's not because you're not great. It's because it's not about the individual. It's about the group.
Collective.
It's the band and that chemistry.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we just started getting better and better at.
I think, to be honest, it's one of the biggest drawing points of almost all of what you do. If we're talking about Stuck Mojo, Fozzy, or Chris's professional wrestling career, you guys are very much, you care about the performance that you give.
Yeah.
It's not about you going up there and showing the best of yourselves. It's about you going up there and giving the people watching you the best time possible, which is a very different thing.
Yeah.
It's less about you, it's more about the crowd. I've always felt that when I've watched you guys.
You have to have a connection with the audience, and you can't shout at them. You have to shout with them. We have to be having a conversation, right?
Yeah.
It's not me just telling you, make some noise, Bloodstock. No, that's me telling you what to do. You paid a lot of money to be here. You can tell me what to do, right? We have a partnership here. And I always found that that's what we're here to do, is to make that connection, because it's not about the notes. It's about telling a story, not with everything that we do, with stage movement and what we say, and through the lyric, and it's having a conversation, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's about back and forth.
That's actually fundamentally our philosophy with what we do on camera. Is we try not to do so much of scripted interviews or questions or anything like this being one of them. I came in with no questions, just knowledge about yourself and what you've been up to, and it's a conversation rather than anything else.
And people like that, right?
I hope so, at least.
When did you guys form? Well, we started in 19, it's like, okay, you can look that up, but people want the conversation, because
the stuff that comes out. I mean, you probably would have never kicked the camera if I just stood here and gone through a list of questions. And,
I still would have.
Oh, we still would have.
Yeah.
Still would have.
But it was your good looks that pushed me over the edge. He didn't invent handsome. He just made it better.
I'm going to say that you raised me up a little bit as well. You've brought the best out of me today.
I know how to pump it up. I bring the power.
Well, as always, it's been absolutely fantastic speaking with you.
My privilege. Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking a couple of minutes with us.